Well, NASA just released new images of 3I Atlas, and honestly, this has exposed perhaps the weirdest anomaly we've seen yet, because the images reveal a jet pointing in a direction that should be physically impossible for a natural comet. And I don't just mean the sunward jet we were seeing until now. So in this video, I'll break down what these new images actually reveal, and why Avi Loeb is saying this could be the proof we've been waiting for. On October 23rd, 3I Atlas flew by Mars at a distance of about 29 million kilometers. That sounds far, but in cosmic terms, it's a pretty close shave. Orbiting Mars is NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. And on board that spacecraft is a camera called HiRISE, essentially the most powerful imaging system we've ever sent to another planet. So, when 3I Atlas flew by, NASA turned this high-powered camera away from Mars and pointed it directly at the mysterious visitor. We've been waiting more than a month for these images to be processed and released, and now that they're here, they show us something we couldn't see from Earth. From our planet, we view the object from one specific angle, but the camera around Mars captured it from a completely different perspective, giving us a side view we couldn't get from here. This side view revealed that the weird jet we'd been seeing earlier wasn't behaving as we thought. For months, images have appeared to show a jet pointing toward the sun. Back in July, when Hubble took its photos, the object was still traveling toward the sun from far away. At that point in its journey, the direction toward the sun and its direction of motion were almost identical. So when we saw the forward-pointing jet, we thought, okay, maybe this is some unusual solar heating effect. But by the time these new images were taken, the direction toward the sun and the direction of travel were no longer the same. The HiRISE camera caught it from a totally different viewing angle, and now we can finally see what was really happening. The jet isn't pointing toward or away from the sun. It's pointing perpendicular to the sun. The sunward jet is also present, extending ahead of the object in the direction of its travel. Now, a jet is the material shooting out of the comet, while the tail is the trailing cloud of dust and gas left behind it. Three forces control comet tails and jets: solar heating, solar radiation pressure, and the solar wind. Notice what they all have in common. They all originate from the sun. Solar heating occurs when sunlight hits the comet, warming pockets of ice on its surface. The ice sublimes, turning directly into gas without melting, and the gas shoots out, creating jets that point away from the light source. So, if a comet's jet is pointing toward the sun, it cannot be caused by solar heating. Solar radiation pressure is different. Light from the sun actually pushes on the tiny dust particles released by the comet due to solar heating. As a result, dust tails always point directly away from the sun, no matter which way the comet is moving. If a comet is traveling toward the sun, its tail trails behind it. If it's traveling away from the sun, the tail still points away from the sun. Either way, the tail is always in the anti-sun direction. The solar wind, meanwhile, is a stream of charged particles flowing out from the sun. It pushes gas away from the sun, just as radiation pressure pushes dust. So gas tails also always point away from the sun. Every single one of these forces is sun-related. The sun is the dominant source of energy and momentum acting on comets. So, what happens if a jet is pointing perpendicular to the sun? That means it's not being pushed by solar radiation pressure, not being blown by the solar wind, and cannot be caused by solar heating. There is no known natural mechanism to produce this phenomenon. You might think, okay, maybe the jet is just slightly off angle, maybe 45 degrees from the sun, and we're making too big a deal out of this. But perpendicular means 90 degrees. The jet is pointing at 90 degrees a right angle to the direction of the sun. This isn't a minor effect either. The jet extends for thousands of miles. It's a major structure that has remained collimated across vast distances in space. For it to stay aligned perpendicular to the sun while the comet moves is simply not something natural processes can achieve. But comets rotate as they travel through space. So, what if the comet is rotating, and a jet that initially pointed toward the sun was swung to the side as the comet spun? This does happen. We've observed it on some comets. But here's the problem. When rotation creates sideways jets, they form spiral patterns. The jet sweeps across space like water from a spinning sprinkler, resulting in a curved tail or spiral structure. 3I Atlas rotates with a period of about 16 hours. We know this from light curve analysis. So if a solar heated jet was being swung sideways by rotation, we would see it curve and spiral. We would not see a straight collimated jet locked at 90 degrees to the sun, extending this far. Even though the image is a bit blurry, it shows a straight structure pointing perpendicular to the sun. For this to occur, the jet source would need to be continuously active and continuously oriented perpendicular to the sun, even as the comet rotates. That would require either an extremely specific geometric configuration that somehow stays locked to the sun's direction, which makes no sense, or, as Avi Loeb suggests, active control. We've studied thousands of comets and seen every kind of unusual tail configuration imaginable: curved tails, split tails, disconnection events where the tail breaks off, and anti-tails that appear to point toward the sun due to viewing geometry. But we have never seen a jet confirmed to be perpendicular to the sun. Every time we thought we'd observe something like this, it turned out to be a viewing angle effect. When we looked from a different position or waited for the geometry to change, the jet revealed itself to be either sun-facing or sun-trailing. The high-rise image is special because Mars was in the perfect position to capture the true three-dimensional geometry. The camera caught 3I Atlas from the side, while the sun was in a totally different direction. There's no viewing angle trick here. The jet really is perpendicular. Shoemaker-Levy 9 broke apart and had complex tail structures, but they were all sun-aligned. Hale-Bopp had multiple jets from different active regions, but every single one was explainable by solar heating of rotating surface features. Oumuamua never showed any jets at all, which is part of why it was controversial. 3I Atlas is doing something completely new. Avi Loeb thinks this is a technological object. And even though I disagree, I believe NASA really should have addressed the unexplainable anomalies instead of rehashing basic information everyone already knows. If you watched until the end, let me know your theories about 3I Atlas and what you think of this newest anomaly revealed after NASA's long silence. Also, please drop me a like and subscribe, and I wish you a blessed day.